This is Michael Reeder, CPA and owner of Reeder CPA Group. Welcome to Reeder's Playbook, where I talk with industry experts about practical strategies and insights that help business owners and entrepreneurs level up. Today, I'm talking with Susie Liberatore, CEO of Vision to Images, a marketing agency specializing in helping franchisees, franchisors, and franchise consultants. Susie brings over a decade of marketing experience and a passion for all things graphic design. Susie Liberatore, I got the last name right. Did I
Yes.
pronounce it correctly? Awesome.
Good.
So great to have you on Reader's Playbook. Thank you for hanging out with me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And so, hey, it's great to be connected with another peer in the franchise industry. You're
Absolutely.
marketing, I'm accounting tax. We're both, suppliers in the industry. So,
Yeah.
Susie Liberatore, welcome. You're the
Yeah.
CEO of Vision to Images, a marketing
Correct.
agency specializing in the franchise space. With over a decade of experience in marketing, a Bachelor of Fine Arts, a deep focus on brand consistency, you've built a unique niche. What else should our audience know about you? Could you introduce yourself and share a bit more about your background?
Yeah. So I've kind of always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Ever since I was young, I was always doing all of the things like designing books for dance and taking photos, all that fun stuff. And I really loved everything about it. And so I came to be an entrepreneur. Technically about 7 years or so, but I've been in the marketing field for about 13 or so. I worked at an agency startup and then I worked in corporate. I absolutely hated corporate and that ended quickly. And I just loved the agency field of it all. So I opened my own company and at first it was very bumpy and it was kind of more like a VA thing, and then I realized that a VA thing was not going to pay my bills, so I needed to actually put my expertise into all of it, and actually value my worth and value myself. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit more about me.
Amazing. So you hated corporate. What a shocker.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's important because a lot of our audience, right? I mean, we're both in the franchise space now as suppliers, but
Right.
obviously a lot of people that go into franchising, have the same feeling. I mean, I own the CPA from that hired me out of college. I've been doing this for about 14 years now, and
Yep.
I cannot imagine like having to work for someone. Like I cannot be an
No.
employee of someone. I love being my own boss. It seems like you obviously love that as well, and
Mhm.
a lot of the audience as well. I mean, there's a
Yes.
yearning out there, right? Like there's a yearning to have autonomy of lifestyle, be your own boss, have more control over your life and stuff. So, kudos to
Absolutely.
you for making the
Thank
leap
you.
that you made.
Yeah. Thank you. I love it. I wouldn't go back.
No, absolutely. That makes two of us. So, all right, entrepreneurial journey. So, like I said, I consider myself an entrepreneurial CPA. Like I said,
Yep.
I own the firm that hired me out of college. I've owned, have owned, businesses in the past. But to your point, you seem equally entrepreneurial. So you've touched on it, but can you share some key moments in your journey, that have shaped, like where you are today as a business owner?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you dive in and you just go with it. I knew what I wanted to do, and there was a lot of ups and downs. I will tell you right now, it wasn't easy at first, but you have to push through and you have to keep working and hire mentors, hire coaches, hire a team, hire all of the stuff to get to where you need to be. Really focused on the big vision. And I also am a serial entrepreneur. So once this business came about, I started a few other ones, one that completely failed, and not because of me, because of how it was being ran, by somebody else. But also now I have a software company called Franchise Clarity, and that is built for franchisors and franchisees to have marketing support and automation. It's very new, so there's still a lot of tweaks that we're working into and adding more features. But I saw the need. And once I really got into the franchise industry, that's where things started to come to life. That's where I felt most comfortable. And I felt like these are my people. This is who I want to work with, because I love having the brand consistency come about and having everything flow together for the corporate level and then for the individual location level. And so once I was taking on the franchise companies, that's when the software started to really develop and take off, is because people kept coming to me saying, hey, what about this and what about that? Do you have something? And it developed and flowed. I'm always thinking, always doing business. I will always, I try not to, I know I should say no more often, but if money's floating about, I'm going to be like, is this worth it? Okay, let's do it. So very entrepreneur driven in that sense.
So that's what you mean when you say that you're a serial entrepreneur, because I thought
Yeah.
that you were just like into like cornflakes and Wheaties and Lucky Charms and stuff like that.
I
That's
am.
I always try to drop a dad joke in there like whenever I can. So that was my
You're so
dad joke
funny.
of the episode.
You're funny. No, you're good. You're good.
Like what got you like what was it like where like you're doing your thing,
Yep.
and like where do you stumble across franchising, like where does franchising come into the mix, and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what I got to do, like this is the niche, because it's like for me it's a similar journey in like the CPA world.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. It was really during the pandemic that started to happen, because franchisees, the owners, were like, "Oh, they don't want to support us because we're quote unquote not locally owned and operated, and they think we have endless amounts of money and we're corporate and all this." And so franchisees were like, "What do we do to stand out locally?" Coming to me, and I was like, "You know what? This is an interesting topic. Let's explore this." And then from there, it kind of developed and developed, and I took on a few franchisors, and then I was like, "This is what I want to do," and I just said, "Nope, we're just saying yes to these people." Anybody in the franchise industry, from suppliers, consultants to the franchisors, franchisees. Maybe eventually we'll niche down a little bit more, but that's where, as long as you're in the franchise industry, we are 100% for you.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so you got in with a few franchisors. I feel like depending on what you do, like what industry you're like obviously you're in marketing, like if you get in with just a few franchisors, like that could be like you could be good off of
Huge.
that, right? Like are they emerging, or are they more legacy, or like the
They're
ones that you're
more, I
currently with
mean,
right
I've
now?
worked with a lot of emerging more so than legacy. I would say legacy is very hard to kind of get into because they have so much already established in that sense. Yeah, I mean, I would say it was emerging and it was a huge learning curve at first. But once I got past that, I was like, this is exactly what I want to do, and this is who I want to help and cater to.
So let's talk about marketing challenges. So, I mean, we've been talking about the franchise space, obviously, but marketing challenges in general. Many small business owners, whether in franchising or not. And yes, everyone, I come prepared with questions, so that's why I'm reading off my phone, because and I'm reading off my phone today because my printer jammed up. So, many small businesses, Susie. Many small business owners, whether in franchising or not, often face a barrage of cold outreach emails promising everything from SEO optimization, social media outreach. It can be overwhelming to figure out what's worth focusing on. Like, how do you help business owners navigate these options? Any advice where we should start? Just because, I mean, I'm sure that you get a lot of like the market senses that like your industry is like very commoditized, just like I get a lot of people that think that like tax and accounting is very commoditized, just like lean into some of those challenges if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think that it all depends on if they're a franchise or a franchisee or a small business. Everybody's it's going to be slightly different. Um, I would say personally, like the biggest thing that people need to really do is develop a personal brand and or brand content, right? So it's like people want to buy from people who like, trust, and know you. That's always been the case. And so building a brand, a content, whatever it is, around stuff that's authentic, stuff that's real, stuff that people can relate to, no matter where you are or what you're doing. That's probably the biggest thing that I would say you can get ahead with, because there's so much stuff going out that's so generic and so boring, right? And you got to stand out and be different and unique. And I mean, you could do that through all of your stuff, through blog posts, podcasts, social media, anything to that extent. Where do you start is kind of just like, I always go back to who's your ideal customer. And if people don't know who your ideal customer is, you have to go backwards before you can go forward, because that's really important. Because if you don't know that, you can't build any type of campaign, because people will always say, I need sales, I need leads. How do I get them? How do I get them? And there's a ton of things you can do. I mean, we could redo your whole website and you might not get leads after it, right? So it's like finding out what works for your audience based on that.
Yeah, no, that's some really good stuff. Do you feel like too many clients, like too many businesses, their leadership, like they're just impatient?
Oh yeah, I would say a lot of people are impatient. I mean, I'm very impatient, so it's the nature of the game. I feel like in this day and age, with people always like you can order food with a click of a button these days, right? So it's like everybody wants that quickness over and over again. And I mean, the same thing is true with sales and business ownership. We want something to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, look at my software company. I was like, oh, this is going to sell quick and we're going to build overnight. And then I started doing the work and I was like, yeah, this is going to take a little bit longer than I thought, which I should have known. Right. So it's like that urge and that rush for that to get done quicker.
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of was top of mind for me when you were saying how like you have like if there's any prospects that that you're talking with and stuff, and they're just like I want leads, I want leads, I want
Yeah.
leads and stuff. It's just like well there's the long tail of this thing that doesn't happen overnight. I mean
Right.
yeah, like the dopamine rush that happens like when you get a lead is cool and stuff like that, but there needs to be a strategy and it takes time to put that strategy together. Like when you work with clients, do you like do they need like is there like a minimum that they should work with you before they start seeing results? I mean, like, is it like is it month to month? Is it like a 6 month, 12 month thing? Like, because I would imagine that there's a
Yeah.
lot of strategy that has to go on at the
There's
beginning.
a lot of
Then you have
strategy.
to implement it, and then you have to kind of let it percolate.
Right, right. There's a lot of strategy. And also, I mean, going back to the leads, as you were saying, like we want to make sure that they're qualified leads as well, because I've seen people and agencies give tons and tons of leads and then they're like, it's not closing, it's not working. Right. So we want to make sure they're qualified. So, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
typically
yeah,
it's about like, I mean, you need a couple of months to kind of audit and strategize and build that. And then from there, like 3 to 6 months. Right. So, I mean, it's typically in a perfect world. I mean, it can be month to month, whatever. There's no real thing, but I mean, we say typically like work with us for a year. I mean, but people can cancel at any time, you know? So it's one of those things where the first few months we have to really build a strategy. And then from there, go on to a couple additional months and implement the strategy, test it, make it changes, etc.
yeah, absolutely. So okay, so the appeal of the franchise industry, I totally get it. And I apologize if you already mentioned this, but like, how long have you been doing this in the franchise industry?
It's been about 3 years or so, I would say, like really
Okay.
niche down. So yeah, it was one of those things. Like I said, during the pandemic was when it was brought to me, and then after like a few months of working with people, I started to just say, yes, this is what we're doing. So it's been about 3 years.
Like, all right, like what challenges have you seen like in the franchise space? I mean, there's obviously the appeal. That's why you've tripled down in it, and you're niching down in it. Like, do you see any challenges in the franchise industry, like as a marketing professional?
I mean, one of the biggest challenges is definitely lead generation, especially if you're trying to build franchisees and get more locations sold. The other one really is there's not, and this is why franchise clarity was kind of born, is there's not a consistent um, software or platform or way to kind of have everything consolidated from the franchisor's perspective and then the franchisee's perspective of really keeping marketing and branding and everything as a whole. Because so many times, like even working with the franchisor, they're like, "Why is this franchisee not following this? What is the problem? We've given them all the marketing tools, right? So it's almost like they needed something more in that sense." Or another example is, oh, this franchisee is not getting any leads or sales even after we told them to do XYZ. What do we need to trigger that to get them to understand like you have to do these things, right? And that's a whole nother topic for a different thing. But these are the kinds of subjects that we run into dealing with franchisees. And I'm kind of somewhat of a fixer in a way. I mean, I problem solve creativity wise. So I'm always like, okay, well, let's try this. Let's do this. Let's talk with the people, figure things out. And that's a lot of the challenges. I mean, to be honest, it always comes back to sales or lead generation. But if they don't have that stuff built to get there, it's not going to matter.
Totally. And everyone, I'm in Europe. I'm in Bulgaria right now. My internet connection is not the greatest, and it's but we're sticking through it. I mean, I could have canceled. I have a cold. I have a cold today. I could have said, I don't feel good. But we're doing this podcast, me and Susie, and but yeah, I mean those challenges. And it just that's another. It's like corporate America has its down. The corporate world has its downsides, And like the challenges that you highlighted are challenges that you're always gonna like they're always gonna be there, right?
Right.
Like it's just like there's never really like a perfect world. Like there's always going to be some unhappy clients or like clients are complaining about this or that.
Right.
It's kind of like the nature of the beast, but it's still better than being in the corporate world.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I don't mind
Um,
trying that stuff. That's
yeah,
I mean, because I get freedom and creativity control. Like the biggest thing with corporate was I couldn't have as much creativity in that field, and it wasn't for me. And sitting in a cubicle was just like the worst thing ever. On top of it all, so I was like, nope.
so tell me about the process, right? So you get a new client, like what's the marketing process? Like, can you walk us through the process of taking on a new franchise client? Like, how do you approach understanding their needs, crafting a strategy that works? And I'm sure you've already kind of like highlighted some of it, but it's like, what's the process, I mean, like that's
Yeah.
a really big thing, especially in the franchise world, because people go into franchising because they want to follow the process of the established brand.
Right, right. No, so it's typically like having just a conversation, consultation, whatever you want to call it. Really getting to know them, find out what their goals are, why haven't they been achieved as far as marketing, kind of discuss who's on their marketing team or if they're using an agency, really just kind of diving in, asking a bunch of questions. And then from there, we probably have another call or sometimes we'll go into a proposal. And then we just kind of build the strategy and then implement a lot of the pieces, right? So it's a very easy thing, but it's not really, right? It's easy to like stepwise, but it's like there's a lot of pieces that we have to unfold and digest and audit before we can really move forward to say, here's what I recommend. I love when people come to me and say, hey, just give me a price. And I'm like, I can't just give you a price. I need to dive in deeper and deeper to see what you have so that if we need to fix things and adjust it before you can get to X. So it's kind of like a process they have to go through that might be slightly uncomfortable for them, but we have to do it to make sure that I can get them the best results.
Well, yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. Right? Like to me, as I'm listening to you talking right there, like that's an indicator that you're ethical and that you're actually, that you're, that you're going to actually provide a good service because, you can't just give some like,
No.
you know, oh, like just throw a price out there because then that means that it's most likely you have some like cookie cutter thing that's,
Right.
that's standardized. You're going to run them through some meat grinder, not really put too much thought
So
into it, and so good. Like that's the
every
way it should
business
be.
is so unique, right? Like, I mean, every business is unique and they might not need everything. So it's like, why, you know what I mean? I usually have baselines of where I'm kind of starting from, but I customize each and every package proposal type of thing because I want to make sure it's what they need in that sense, especially depending on if they're new and emerging or if they don't have the funds, etc. It's like, what's in our budget that we can also fix and adjust? Yeah.
So, how do you tailor marketing strategies for individual franchise locations while maintaining brand consistency across the entire franchise? I imagine that's a delicate balance. What's your approach?
For local franchises,
Yep.
yeah. So each each location is so different and unique, but we have to create that brand consistency. So we'll keep like the same colors, the same fonts, the same graphics, the same look and feel, but individualize it for them, right? So maybe there's some type of local event. We'll put in before and afters, testimonials, like still kind of trying to make it their own, but with the brand incorporated in that sense, right? So we'll create like a bunch of different templates that's customized to them. And I say templates because it's more internal than it is external. It's us creating that, and then we'll fill in the blanks so that they can have something different than corporate to show up on a local level, but not be off brand, so that they're like, what the heck is this, right? And so, I mean, the corporate stuff is good, but they all need to have something that's good for the local brand. So, we look at what events are you going to? Are you hosting events? It just depends on the industry per se, or if you're doing a sale, or if you're showing up sponsoring an event. I mean, there's so many pieces to the puzzle that we want to fit in there, or even just highlighting team members, or like I said, testimonials, before, afters, anything to that extent, but making it fun and different on point with branding.
Yeah. No, I love it. Yeah. I mean, there's just you're obviously doing something right. I mean, it just seems like you're gaining traction, and
Yeah.
you're an you're an empire building mode. Really impressive, Susie. I want to lean into franchise clarity some more. I feel like because like I
Okay.
feel like you've touched on it a few times, and I get the agency, I get vision to images, but you know, tell like what exactly again does like is the SaaS?
Right now it's a reputation management, so we're in the like people can collect reviews and really have a customer nurture journey because that's what brings sales around and around. But we're going to be adding in pieces for like SEO and CRM and marketing components so that, for example, when I was just talking about the local visibility thing, they would have some type of template where they can add in and tweak it to their own on point and on brand. Like they can't change the brand colors or anything to that effect, but they can add stuff in rather than take it away, and then it can automatically publish out and using some different AI tactics and stuff like that. So that's the long term goal. But right now, it's just a reputation management for companies because we know how important it is, and there's obviously automation included in there. See, I have a little bit of a sore throat today too. I didn't tell you that, but this is what we do.
We both could have canceled, you know.
Well, we didn't because we know better.
Well, I mean,
But
I feel like society overall has just like gotten really soft. So I think that
yes, they have,
we should pat ourselves on the back that we toughed it
right?
out today.
There we go. There we go. No,
Our ancestors had to survive, like horrible weather conditions, like in the frozen tundras, and been like we have a little cold today, and so we've
yes.
just gotten perspective helps.
Yeah, yeah. No. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at with the reputation management. We want to make sure that franchisors have that support for their local franchisees to be able to get those reviews and to really help customers with the process after the sale is complete because they might be able to come back depending on what it is, and they might be able to refer or share. So it's just a really important process that's kind of missing in their industry.
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, I'll pivot. What do you think about my marketing guy Ben? Do you think he's good or bad?
Ben is amazing. I know he's on the
He
call. No, he's
he's not
great.
listening right now. You can tell
How
the
do you know?
truth.
How do you know? He's
I don't
totally
know.
he's totally
He's
listening.
like he's Big Brother.
Yeah. No, Ben is amazing. I've you've connected me with him to talk more shop with marketing and stuff. Ben's amazing. He's talented. He's good at what he does. I have nothing bad to say about him. He's good, and he's working with you, so must be doing something good, right?
Ben, I paid Susie to say nice things about you, just as an FYI. I sent her some Venmo just a little bit ago.
Like a whole dollar.
Um,
Don't worry about it.
well, I mean, like you and Ben, should think about ways to collaborate. Just because, like, how do you scale? This is, I guess, more of like a vision to image thing, but like, how do you scale a service business, right? You have to like, hire or collaborate with like more service professionals to do the thing, and so. I mean, Ben is like, I mean, in all seriousness, like Ben's the man, and we like to have fun with each other. But I just like if you're in empire building mode, um, you know, whatever you can do with other marketing professionals. Like I do the
Yeah,
same thing with like I want to get connected with other CPAs out there because I feel like we are more assets to each other as opposed to like
sure.
adversaries. And
Right.
so, it's like how can you collaborate with other peers in your industry to join forces and stuff, especially if you want to scale,
Right. Yeah, no, I live it. That's good.
Do you target like are you more focused on B2B or B2C franchises like your strategies or or you can do both or like,
Yeah. I mean, both because we'll help grow the franchise with their locations. But realistically, I mean, most of it is probably B2C if I had to
yeah,
say.
that's what I thought because of like reputation management and stuff. I would
Right.
imagine,
That's
like
more
more like
B2C.
B2Cs with
Yeah.
like, reviews and stuff.
Right.
So the so on the franchise clarity, I mean like building out a like a software like that's no easy task. Like that can be pretty capital intensive. That could
Yes.
be something that you can like lose money on like for several years, but like before you turn a profit. And like a lot of
Please
software
don't
companies
say
are just like,
that. No.
no, I know, but so it's like, what's your what's the what's going on like underneath the hood with that? Like, are you bootstrapping it? Do you have like private equity backing you, or?
I don't have any private equity. I've kind of put in money up till now. So we're really looking to grow the client base, grow the customers, and then look for some type of investors or some type of equity, something to that effect. But we have to get past this one little phase before we can really get to the investor part.
Yeah, got it. Well, best of luck with you on that. I mean,
Thank you.
um, that one, yeah. I mean, like with, I mean, I've never built a software, but from what I've told, it's like those, it's like, uh, it's they have nice multiples, right? If you can do it, if you can get to that point of exit, I mean, like my
Yeah.
like the valuation of a CPA firm or like a digital marketing agency like tends to be some like low multiple of EBITDA, maybe like a one-time top line revenue, but you want to get to like several multiple of EBITDA on a soft, so
Right.
I wish you all the best on that because
Thank you.
then maybe you can get out of Cleveland after that.
Get out of Cleveland and go retire on a beach. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you seem focused, you seem driven,
Yes.
and I see all your stuff on social.
Okay.
So like you're active. You're getting engagement. And so I wish you nothing but the best, Susie.
Thank you.
And looking forward to just staying in touch, supporting each other, and just doing great things in the franchise industry.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.